All right, let's cook. Let's cook. Swati crab คุณสบายดีไหม
สวัสดีครับฉันสบายดีมากขอบคุณค่ะ I'm glad you asked. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great as well. I'm glad you asked. So today, let's talk about Web3 gaming and the potential of play to earn. So, I've participated in a few games, quote unquote, play to earn. They haven't really been too successful. I think it's still too early. And then I think there's still like layers of this missing. And, before I really go too far down the rabbit hole, like what's the first thing that comes to mind when we talk about, or when I say Web3 gaming and play to earn?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is that it's still kind of a wild west, right? A lot of play to earn games are kind of experimenting and figuring out their economies, and Web3 gaming is still evolving. So there's a lot of potential, but there's also a lot of trial and error. So I guess the first thing that pops into my head is we're still early and there's a lot of room to grow.
Yeah, definitely. There is a lot of room to grow. And, I think that, yeah, the Wild Wild West example, like definitely that's still like here. But, I want to test the waters or test the lava with what I got going on, because I've participated in play to earn. So I think I know what needs to be done. I could be wrong. There's always possibility of being wrong. But, I feel like I know what needs to be done because, I'm a gamer. So when I play the game, I know what I want. So, if I want it, I'm pretty sure somebody else wants it. I'm not saying that, my opinion is the end all to be all, but, I'm a fairly simple person. Like if I want something, I'm pretty sure somebody else would like to experience it too. So, we got the floor is lava, and I own the domain, thefloorislava.io. So we'll tie the game there. And, just with the play to earn model, I think that the simple games are going to win. It's not, you try to like put too much on it, like, oh, if you're trying to make the World of Warcraft of crypto, you know what I'm saying? Oh, we got the MMO and blah blah blah. Or if you're trying to create like a fucking like a NASCAR game with the crypto assets, so then like the cars are NFTs and engine parts are NFTs, and it just might just be really too much. And then it's like a lot of greed will get involved with that, because now it's like, when you're dealing with money and value, it's hard to like keep it sane, because a lot of this stuff is new. So a lot of people have never been in situations like this. So but just before I go too far, like what do you think about that, like what I've said so far?
Yeah, I think you're hitting on something pretty important. I mean, the simplicity factor is huge. A lot of times these super complex or over-ambitious Web3 games can get bogged down, and it just kind of loses the fun, right? And like you said, if you as a gamer want something a little more straightforward, probably other gamers do too. So focusing on something like the Floor is Lava with a simple, fun, and really clear play-to-earn model could stand out. I think there's definitely room to carve out that niche before it gets too crowded with these giant, overly complicated projects. So yeah, I think you're on the right track.
I think the overly complicated projects, is too much money, too many hands in the pot, community members upset, all kinds of narratives. And, if I'm wrong, then, I think that we would have seen a game be produced by now. And it's just like too much of a, like, it's too much like on the plate. It's just too much. And so, what I think is going to win is just simple games. Like, imagine like a snake, just the snake just running around, or the snake just going in a grid pattern, trying to get the dot, well, so to speak, because, playing this on a grid type of game. So just taking it back to the Nokia example. So just like us riding around or sliding around on the grid, trying to get the dot, and then like one score per dot. So we get 10 dots, 10 score, and then like high score with the leaderboard. And I've talked about this before, and like simple games like Frogger, maybe you know, I got a friend on Twitter. They made a coin flip game, and it's pretty much just a 50-50 shot. So you flip the coin, you win or you don't, you know. So I think that simple games like that is what's really going to drive the next wave of like play to earn. And then I got something else I want to talk about too. But what do you think about that so far?
Yeah, I think that's a really solid way to look at it. Simplicity is kind of the secret weapon. You know, those really straightforward games, like your classic Snake example or a Frogger style thing, they just work. And if you layer in play to earn mechanics in a way that's really easy to understand, I think that can attract a lot of players who just want to jump in and have fun without all the complexity. So yeah, I think you're definitely onto something, and I'd say keep leaning into that idea, because that could be what makes your project stand out in the Web3 gaming space.
The crazy part is like the games that are like overly complicated, it's like you're trying to bring people in to play the game, and it's like you have to explain to them the play to earn part. Like if you got to sit there and make a PDF file or a PowerPoint and you got to explain to people how they win money in the game, it might be just too much. Like I mean, for me, I don't want to deal with anything like that. I'd like to just cut the game on. Okay, I can use my gamer intuition, see what's going on, capitalize on being early, and let's hit some high scores and win some money, like, because we're playing to earn. So now it's like these overly complicated games. You know, you could be in a city, have to go here, go there, collect this, do that. I mean, like, is it really worth it at that point? You might as well just go play a off-chain game with a bigger community and not have to worry about people that try to scam you. Because, you know, with these pay to earn games, like, they're all, so to speak, like down bad, and they need money to keep building. So like the new players that come in, they're like, I wouldn't say they're getting scammed, but you know, it depends on who you're dealing with, and you could be wasting your time and money, and then like, you know, you could put months into this and it falls apart, and then you're like, well, what happened to my money, and da 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 da, and there's like really nothing you can do about it. So like in certain aspects, it's like too many components to have to explain how I'm winning money is not going to work in a play to earn like environment. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think you're totally spot on with that. If you have to give someone a whole manual just to figure out how to earn in a game, it kind of kills the fun. And like you said, people just want to jump in and figure it out with their gamer intuition. They don't want to deal with a bunch of complicated steps or feel like they might be wasting their time or money. So I think keeping it simple is really the way to go, and that can make it more approachable and actually more fun for everyone.
So now let's think about this on an international scale. So now if you got this heavy game, right? And it's like, well, what about the people in Japan that don't speak English? Or what about the people in, you know, what about the people in Thailand that don't or can't read English, you know? So it's like putting all these extra narratives inside the game, and it's like now you're like kind of like locking yourself in to like one geographic, or you're locking yourself into like, you know, a certain diameter or whatever, you know what word I'm trying to fucking say. So now you're locking yourself into that aspect, right? But now let's take, now you come up against me and I got a simple game, the floorslava.io. I really don't even have to put any like instructions in the game, because I could just like make a tutorial video. You could see what the person, or you could see what's going on in the video, and you can put 2 and 2 together with your gamer intuition and go forth, and you can try to hit high scores and shit, and it'd be like a whole learning lesson in like 30 seconds. You know how to play the game, versus like these other huge, you know, oh well, you got to create your player, then you got to go over to this place, and then you got to go over here and make sure you click on this so you can get that, and da 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 da, and it's just like overly complex. Now, I'm not saying that's not a good thing, and maybe one day that will work, but you know, it's so early, there's like not even no point of even advertising games like that, because they're going to probably take like another 5 years to make. So then you have the smaller players like me that are going to come through, and just while you're sitting over there building, I'll be over here playing, and I'm building a community right here while you're over there like doing who knows what for X amount of years, and who's to say this shit is even going to work? So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. I mean, you're basically highlighting the huge advantage of accessibility. If you've got a super simple game that crosses language barriers and doesn't need a bunch of instructions, you're going to reach a much wider audience. And like you said, where all the big guys are spending years trying to build something massive and complicated, you can just be out there actually playing, building a community, and having fun with people right now. So yeah, it makes total sense. You're really leaning into that early, accessible, and just fun vibe, and I think that's going to be a big strength for it.
Yeah, I think that just the simplicity always wins. I wouldn't say it always wins, but you know, just the taking into account for the time, over complex things, and then you apply, you know what I'm saying, simple plus time equals whatever, and you do complex plus time equals whatever. You know, you're gonna get different results, but the simple, you'll have time to adjust. Like by the time we get done with the complex, I done made like 10 versions of the simple and recreated and reevaluated and perfected it to the point where it's nice and molded. And now it's like, all right, well, I'm here now, and this is where we're at. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because it was so simple that I could keep refining it. You know, those massive top heavy products and projects, is like you really can't do, like there's no restart button, so to speak. And you know, you're playing with investors' money and this and that and wasting time, and it's like, you know, everybody's expecting something this year. You know, one thing goes wrong, now they're like, oh well, everybody calm down, now you gotta wait another year and a half, and the coin is tanking, the NFTs are fucking useless, and all kinds of shit like that. So you know, just the simplicity is where the win is going to be at for like play to earn and Web3 gaming and blockchain gaming, at least for right now. And then like you know, all right, before I go into the next, like, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, it's a really good point. When you keep things simple, you have the flexibility to iterate quickly. While the big complex projects are still trying to get off the ground, you can refine your game and your model a bunch of times and just get it right. And yeah, it means you can roll with the punches a lot easier. If something goes a little sideways, you adjust quickly, and you're not tied to this huge complicated thing with a bunch of expectations. So I think you're spot on that simplicity is going to give you that win, especially in the early days of play to earn and Web3 gaming. So yeah, we're right there with you.
Yeah, and then you know, as these over complex games get built out, they're gonna need community members and a player base and all kinds of stuff. So you know, just for an example, like Decentraland, let's say Decentraland has like 1 million users in it, you know, it's 2030, and like, you know, everybody's embracing this and embracing that, and these other metaverses and bigger players, let's say they finally got their shit together, right? But you know, since 2025, 24, 23, I've been refining my Floor's Lava game. And so now I can come into these bigger ecosystems with my own game, you know? So let's say there's 1 million people in there, and, you know, I go in there and engage with, you know, 20,000 people, and they play my game. So now just like, you know, coming into these overly complex situations with simple solutions, and you know, and then that'll lead to possibly like the creators or the owners or whatever created these, the bigger, you know, they could show what I got going on, or they could put me on a you know, on a pedestal, or they could, like, you know, support what I got going on, just back what I got going on, because I came in the door with, you know, shit already set up. And if their community members are engaging with what I got going on and they like it, you know, it would just be even better just for them to co-sign me and like push me forward to help me, you know what I'm saying, and keep the momentum going, right? So as these projects, as the bigger projects get built out, you know, I'll come right in, right under their nose with all kinds of great things. And, you know, because we got the NFTs, you know, we got the coin, I got merch, I got animated series, I'll have the game, I have the bar, and when it gets to a point, there'll be like really nothing you can offer me other than just like a spot to sit down at the table. So like, what do you think of that analogy?
I think that analogy makes a lot of sense. You're basically positioning yourself to be nimble and ready to integrate when those bigger ecosystems finally hit their stride. And by that time, like you said, you've got all your stuff refined, you have your game, your merch, your community, and you're coming in with a fully formed brand. That means those bigger platforms can actually benefit from having you there, and they might just kind of lift you up because you're bringing in a ready-made audience and something that people already love. So it's a pretty smart strategy. You're kind of future-proofing yourself by staying simple and being ready to plug in when the time is right.
Yeah, there's it's just like I could sit here and talk about this stuff all day, just the play to earn aspect. But I actually gotta cut it short because I gotta hop on a phone call here soon, and we've been going for about 15 minutes, so I can come back and make a part 2 to this anyway, so it ain't that big of a deal. But just give me a summary of what we've been talking about for the past 15 minutes, like the bigger players, smaller games being made, simplicity over complexity, just being patient, the smaller players sitting at the table, the bigger players pushing forth and embracing things of that nature. Like, I pretty much just said the summary for you, but go ahead and give us one, please.
Absolutely, I got you. So in a nutshell, we've basically been talking about how in the world of play to earn and Web3 gaming, simplicity is kind of the secret superpower. You mentioned how while the big complex projects are taking years to build out and might have all these instructions and barriers, you can come in with a really straightforward game. And that lets you refine it, build a community, and be ready to plug into those bigger ecosystems once they're ready. And because you're keeping it simple and fun, you're going to have something that's already well loved and that bigger projects might actually want to support. So in short, it's all about using that simplicity to stay agile and get a seat at the table while the bigger players are still figuring things out. And that's pretty much the gist of what we've been chatting about.
Yep, I agree. Just staying agile and just figuring out, well, it ain't even really figuring out, it's just like really getting ready and then, preparing for that seat at the table. But thanks for the summary and thanks for the conversation today. Lao Poka Mai.
You're absolutely welcome. It's always fun chatting through these ideas with you. And yeah, you're definitely getting all set for that seat at the table. We'll pick it up next time whenever you're ready. Until then, Leo Pupkin Mai.
All right, there you have it. Just the potential of play to earn, smaller player, bigger player, doesn't matter. There's a lot of potential for anybody. Really just have to build it. You build it, they will come. Easy day. With that being said, y'all get ready. The floor is lava.io. We're gonna crank this thing, and we're not gonna fail. So all right, I'll see y'all on the next one.